is what we're going to be covering today. Jordan, do you want to touch on what we're going to cover today before I dive in?
Yeah, so we talk a lot again about social media, setting up your online marketing strategy. So the cool thing about what we're doing today is like a broad overview of how to think about your social strategy and then how to use it Express to actually make everything. And then because I feel like most people's biggest challenges are like having the idea and then having the time. So hopefully we'll help you like think of what to do so that you have a plan and then have a path forward to actually get it done. Because I think Andy and I are uh, different in this way. Thank God for you. I tend to like do all the planning and then stop and not actually do the thing. And Andy's very good at the like, well, you gotta actually get it done. Um, so we're gonna do both today, which is great.
Exactly. But I think you describe it really well. Like, the time and ideas that I just hear it again and again from people like, I wish I could do social, I wish I could do this, but I just don't have the time. It takes time to come up with ideas, it takes time to create it.
Mhm.
So today we really want to give you over the next kind of 50 minutes as much of the foundations and the framework that you need to really like create the process that you're going to need to scale social media. There I go again, like process nerdy stuff. But I think that's kind of what you need. You just to get into that habit, you need to really know what you're doing next and have a place to go find the creative, create the creative, and all of that process so that it just becomes less overwhelming, less of a cognitive load to do social. Anyway, that's our promise to you today.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
I meant to say too, if you're watching a replay of this, feel free to drop questions in like the comments of the video wherever you're watching. And if you're watching live, feel free to drop questions for us in the chat. And we're keeping an eye on that, so we'll answer as many as we can.
brilliant point. Fantastic. Cool. Let's set up your strategy. And many of you might have a social strategy in place anyway, which is absolutely fine. So, and this is our view of the world. So, by no means is this the only way of doing social media. There's lots of different ways. This is our approach to creating a really nice, repeatable structure. But there are no experts in the world of social. We're all making it up as we go along. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all testing and learning our way to success. So, you're not going to hear any Jordan and I say on these streams like you've got to do this because this is going to be amazing. Like you've just got to find
Yes.
your own groove. What do you think about that,
Yeah,
Jordan? Anything you'd
exactly.
add?
It's definitely like a starting point and ideas, you can just take our ideas and like go with them, but absolutely find what works for you because every industry is a little different, every niche is different, every personality is different. So even like the Andy and I talk about a lot of the same things, but we talk about them very differently because we just are different people and our brains work differently. So yeah, as we always say, take what works for you, leave what doesn't, and don't feel like you have to do everything that we're
Yes.
suggesting.
Amen to that. Alrighty, so let's just kind of get ourselves rooted in some fundamentals. Whenever we're trying to build a strategy, we want to make sure that we are appealing to the perfect target audience and we get really focused. And my main kind of objective here is to get very narrowly focused on a particular target audience. Jordan and I, we've spoken about this on previous streams. So, Jordan, you've run a small business for years, very niche product, niche audience, hyper focused. And similar with the business that scaled to get acquired by Adobe, very focused. And initially, we were very focused on an even smaller target audience than what we ended up with. Because the beauty of social media is that you really can get very narrowly focused. And if you want to grow quicker, and this is sometimes seems counterintuitive, if you want to grow quicker, you need to appeal to a smaller group of individuals because people talk. So if we want to appeal to everyone, we'll appeal to no one. So who do I want to care? I consider this like I call it a minimum viable audience. What's the smallest possible audience that will sustain growth to the next stage? If you're a bit later on in your business, you probably don't need to worry about like minimum viable audience, but my call to arms here is just really get focused. It can be very tempting to try and appeal to lots of different groups, but if you've got one social channel or several social channels, try and have one singular focus per social channel because that will really help you grow and attract the right audience. Talking about attracting the right audience, why should
Well,
they
I was
care?
gonna say too, if this helps anyone, this is like certainly not the first person to give this advice, but one of my first few customers when I first started was like, my ideal customer. And then I thought about her when I was like putting together my marketing. I was like, what would she care about? What would make her come back? So that's easier once you already have a customer or two. But if you do, it's really nice to picture an actual person. Even if they're made up, you can imagine your ideal person just because it helps you like humanize your it helps your brain put a real face to the question.
Yeah, that persona piece is so interesting and so important, and that leads nicely onto why should they care. And the more time you can spend with your ideal target audience, and you were very active in lots of communities and groups, and as was I, because the more time you spend with your target audience, not necessarily trying to market to them or sell to them, just being with them, you really start to understand, walk a mile in their shoes and really understand empathy, because the best marketing strategies are always rooted in deep empathy. When you truly understand your audience, then everything gets easier. And that goes into the final point, which is how can I be sure? And you might see some big convoluted marketing strategies, and you don't need to have, it's not complex stuff. Just these three questions are all you need to ask yourselves to then build or optimize your strategy. So how can you be sure? Test your hypothesis, so you've got an idea of who you want to appeal to, that the focus group of individuals you want to appeal to. You've now got a view as to why should they care, because you spent a bit of time with them, you've spoken to people, and then you want to validate it. We don't just want to come up with some marketing messages or a thesis and just put it out there. We really want to stress test this with people. And the best way of doing this is going back to those people you spoke to in step 2 and having these conversations like, hey, this is what I thought you told me, and this is what I took from that. And this is kind of the problem that we're here to solve. What do you feel about that? Not trying to sell to people, just truly trying to take a more scientific approach. Honestly, if we spend more time speaking with customers and getting people's opinions, we will get to a much stronger marketing strategy. Which then leads to the next and the final 3 questions that we need to ask ourselves when we build a strategy. And really, there's only 6 questions to this. So what do I want to be known for? This is your why. This is your mission. This is your kind of small dent you want to leave on the world. And remember, your brand is what people say about you when you're not around. So be really mindful that people typically will only remember you for one thing. So Jordan, in the case of your small business, like what do you think you're known for?
I've done a couple different versions. I think the latest version I'm known for honestly known for like connecting nerdy small businesses. So I have one. But what I've done more recently than making a lot of products is like doing collaborative projects and like putting booths together and putting stores together, like bringing a bunch of cool artists in the same space. So I think I'm kind of like a connector. So I tell everyone when there's something new out, when there's a new business on the scene. And it's fun.
Love that. So yeah, it's just super crystal clear when you really know what you want to be known for, the dent you want to leave in the world. And if you think about like, what do I want to be known for as the why? And it's a very simple question to ask, but quite difficult to answer succinctly. So do like spend a bit of time answering that question and really being quite clear with it. Because if people are only going to remember you for one thing, it's our job to try and make that a really important thing. So if what do I want to be known for is your why, then your how is what changes do I want to make? What's the kind of tension between where people are today and where we want them to be tomorrow? All marketing creates tension between now and a future state. So what do we want that to be? What is the thing we're trying to do for people? And then finally, this is the only question that relates to us, because the 5 previous questions have all been about our audience, which is all marketing should be predominantly about our audience. Naturally, we want to know what we want to achieve from our strategy too, so we'll know if we've been successful, which relates to like tracking, etc. So that's it. With that, we've got some.
And I think about those all the time. Like those questions, if I get stuck, because I, of course, don't actually do the things I talk about as well as I should. So I don't actually have a fully planned out marketing, even though I could super easily because we think about this all the time. But when I'm just in the moment coming up with something, I always think about those questions like, what do I want anyone to get out of this? What do I want to like achieve by this post? Because I think you and I both are like not really into just putting things out there for the sake, like posting for the sake of posting. There should be a reason. So yeah, I really do go back to those questions all the time.
100%. Yeah, love that. The world's a noisy place. So if you
Yeah,
have got
we don't
something
need more
meaningful
of
to
it.
say, exactly. Exactly. So with that, it's simple questions, but requires a bit of thought and a bit of exercise to get you into the point of like, okay, so this is really what I want to do. Got crystal clear with it. So now we can put our strategy together, because I love threes and everything feels better in a three. So there's three things you need to consider to a strategy: content pillars, content themes, and topics. So that's it. You probably will have heard these phrases or sayings before, but just to be crystal clear as to what they mean, because sometimes they're used in different contexts. So pillars are the foundations of your strategy. They don't change. We advocate for four of them. Four of them will repeat consistently. Those pillars are never changing. And really they're the most important part of a strategy, because that's never changing. That gives it structure, that gives it those foundations. And then on top of the pillars, you can then build your themes. So that's the type of content you'll create, whether it's like a how-to or a product demo. And then topics sit underneath that, which is really relates to what that specific post is all about. So if it was a how-to, it would be how to do a certain thing in your industry. Struggling for good examples here, but hopefully you get the idea. Pillars, themes, and topics. And that's how we build up our content strategy. So to bring that to life a little bit and to make it nice and easy, we've got the acronym of like BEST. So we call it the BEST content strategy: bond, educate, showcase, and tell. So these pillars represent the core tenets of what you're going to need to build a good social strategy. So bond content is all about getting to know your audience, and your audience getting to know you through much more human connection. This isn't about selling. This isn't about marketing necessarily. It's all about making connections. Then education, or educate pillar, is like my favorite pillar, because this is all about like sharing your knowledge with the world. And the more you share, the more value you provide, the more trust you build. And trust, as we know, is the underlying emotion that governs all buying behavior. Nice and simple. That's what we're here to do. Then showcase, and each of these pillars get steadily more kind of marketing-y and a bit more salesy if we're talking about it. So showcase is your chance to flex a bit. So, but flex in a really nice way, in an interesting way, like a bit of behind the scenes, show your work in process, show something that you're working on, show a client testimonial, that kind of stuff. And then tell is really when we need to, of course, at some point we're going to need to launch a product, or we want to launch a competition, or we want people to listen to our podcast. We're going to need to define that action. So naturally, I would orientate more towards content, towards the bond, educate, and showcase part of it. But we're building our community to be able to drive some form of action, and that's where tell content comes in. So before I hand over to Jordan to start creating, this is then how it will end up looking. So I'm going to go on to Express here. Now, what we can use the schedule product for, which is the area of the product that I look at mostly. So this now gives us an opportunity to start building out that content strategy directly in Express. So here we go. Let's look at today. Let's make sure I'm logged into the right account, shall we? Let's do that first.
Yeah, it's just thinking about all of this together, like it kind of feels overwhelming to, I don't know, coming up with a whole content plan is a lot. Filling out a whole month of a calendar is a lot. But honestly, truly, when you break it down into like, okay, I have these 4 ideas, I'm going to post 1 a week or 2 a week or 4 a week, you start being able to populate as Andy's going to show, and then it really gets easier to just like fill these in. It's like a plug and play in a way that, at least the way my brain works, this is ideal. It's why I love Express too, because filling in a template is so much easier than creating something from scratch. So this is the way to templatize your creation too.
That is exactly it. Templatizing is the core word here. So yeah, love that. So this is how my month is looking. So this is my genuine content calendar. I use this for my own personal uses as well, as you can see. So here's the upcoming content schedule, of which I can move about and reorientate as we need to. So that's the content that's already pre-planned, but the things that are upcoming, I don't need to stress about. I don't need to look at an empty calendar because we already know what we're doing. We've already templatized it, to use your word, Jordan. Not sure if it's a real word, but we're going to take up. We're gonna run with it. So here, what we've done is create these drafts. So these drafts are super useful because here we could just go into any one of those calendar tiles, create that draft post, and use these as like placeholders for the things that we want to talk about in the future. So we won't select any channels for them because naturally they're going to be independent of channels. So here, what I've done is put the pillar, which is bond, and then the theme, which is share your story. The topic would be something related to my story, whether it's from founding a company, journey into marketing, whatever it might be. But ultimately, this then gives me a really good structure as to the content we want to create. So as you can see, I've orientated it towards 3 posts a week. I typically like to do 3 a week because I think that's a reasonable balance. One a day is quite hard to do. I think I don't know if you've got into posting cadence ever that frequently.
Okay, so this is nuts. But when I was running my business full time, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I was posting 3 times a day, which is crazy. But that was like my main thing. And it was a lot of user generated content because I had a fashion brand. So people were sending in photos. Look, now I cannot believe I did that.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good,
now
good
once or twice a week is my schedule now.
Yeah. And I think as a general rule, like for talking about consistency, 3 a week is always a nice target to try and aim at. Even if you start with 1, that's fine. But typically, the more you post, the faster you'll grow. Typically, it does have diminishing returns over time. So if you're going wild with like 3, 5 a day, it will start to tail off. But you will see improvements if you ramped up from 1 a week to 3 a week to 5, you would see that. But I think 3 is a nice balance. So in doing that, we've now got a structure. We know what we're going to be talking about over the next week, which is the most important thing. So we don't have that horrible cognitive load and the panic when you're like, I don't know what I'm going to post about. I've got nothing going out on my socials. So we now know exactly what we're doing. So we've got a solid strategy. We know the type of audience that we want to go after. We know what we want to be known for. We also know like pillars, themes, and topics, and we started to note these down in our calendar. Now it's time to use some of our templates to bring this to life. So I think this is probably a good time for you to take over the show, Jordan.
Yeah, and just to say one last thing while looking at the calendar is this is also a great way because I am really bad at planning ahead. So if you know you have an event coming up, or for example, we have a live stream, it's really nice to look at your calendar and then put those points in of like, I want to promote this thing before it comes out, or I have this product launch at the end of the month or this big project, because I forget what I'm posting day to day, and then I'm like, oh no, it's tomorrow, and I never told anyone. But yes, and Susan in the chat says, I think the ratio to feed the beast and balance without overloading the audience is a good idea, which is like, that's definitely the trick, is finding a way to do a little bit of everything, and not get overwhelmed. But yes, with that, thanks for sharing the strategy, Andy. And you can always come back and watch it, screenshot things. And again, take the parts that make sense to you, leave the parts that don't. But Andy and I both genuinely use this all the time. This is a project we set up with an imaginary brand, just to kind of get some template ideas. So if you haven't seen projects yet, they're a really cool way, sorry, to like bring everything together. So this is our good marketing project. I have all my project files here, and then I also have my brand and library here. So logos, colors, fonts, and you'll see that I use these for the templates. I have assets and all that good stuff. So I love using templates. If you're not a huge template creator, you can always bring in your own assets. You can create your own projects from like Photoshop or Illustrator files, or you can save Express templates into a project or into your favorites. And the nice thing about this too is then you have both sides. So we have the idea from Andy, and then we have all of the actual template ideas here. So I want to start by making an Ask Me Anything story. I love these and forget about them. Sometimes I think about them. I travel a lot. So if I get like stuck at an airport, sometimes I'm like, okay, go ahead and ask me anything, guys. And then that gives me like something to think about. But here is an AMA story, which then, you can use for all types of different scenarios. You can use it pre or like post a product launch. If you're just getting started, if you want to get to know your audience better, this is also a really nice way to see what they care about. And again, the nice thing about templates is it's really easy to take this isn't necessarily like the style that I'm looking for. So I want to customize it, but the backbone of what I need is right here. So this is based off of brand that we already have made, but I'm going to rebrand it for, instead of using this like imaginary good marketing brand, I'm going to remix it for one of my own brands. So I have all of my brands right here. I'll go ahead and use my personal business and go ahead and change the font. Again, love setting up brands because all of the colors and everything I want are right here. Where did you go? Here we go. So I have all my colors. I don't have to like remember the different things that I want. I think that green's kind of fun. And then again, you can change all of the fonts. Your brand fonts are here, or you can get a little wild if I want to do like something scripty, but I don't want to do that. That looks crazy. And I can insert, if you're posting this on Instagram, you can like put a sticker here, which is why there's kind of like a shape here, but you can also put in a prompt like this post can be about an upcoming craft fair. So I'll say, ask me anything, summer craft fair. I'll say about my. And so this could either be if your audience is other people who are vending like with you, if it's your customers, like what you would be making. And then I can swap out this background. So I could replace it with my own, like if I have a photo of myself at another event, if I have a photo of my products, I can also replace with Adobe stock photos or video. But I want to generate something new. So I'm going to go over into media, text to image, portrait, so it fits. And let's do something with like a summer flare. Summer colors, outdoor
Just whilst
market.
you're doing this, Jordan, I'll answer a question from the chat.
Oh, yeah, please.
Someone asked, just jumped in, can we watch the video later too? On LinkedIn, yeah, absolutely. As soon as the stream finishes, it'll be available on demand for you to watch back.
And on the Adobe Live YouTube. So you can access all of our other videos too, which again, Andy and I talk about social strategy a whole lot. So you can find those. And look how fun and like summery these are. I like this one, I think. If you haven't used Express before, our layers are over here. I'll go ahead and delete the background that I had, and then I can make any changes I want. Like maybe I want to add a shape back here and match it so this is a little more legible. What else am I forgetting, Andy, before I move
just
on?
whilst you click on the text to image creation, because that is really cool actually. I really like that. So if you press the little toggle, which is by text to image, yeah, you got it. Just to make reference to the style and composition. We won't use it now, but yeah.
Yeah, so if I did have like a specific style, like a photography style, or if I was an illustrator or an artist, which I am not really, I could upload something that I want this to match. And then same thing for composition. This is really cool if there's something specific, like, let me see, I think I do have, we're gonna find out really quickly. Okay, so I could use a reference like this. I'm going to change my prompt if I want, something to be in this shape. And then like, let's do summer colors and maybe tiny flowers. Let's try that. And so, yeah, the nice thing about the text to image or the generator here, this is powered by Firefly. There are so many different options. And especially if you're just starting out and maybe don't have your own photos, this is what I really want. That matches the closest. Could try a different prompt. I actually like, I like these images a whole lot. And it's nice, yeah, if you don't have a gallery to begin, or you don't have exactly what you want. Like I do a lot of kind of fantasy events, and I don't have real photos of fantastical things because they don't exist. But it's nice to be able to generate something that's new, and you can just do it with a prompt.
And then just to make a reference to those style images too. So yeah, if your business isn't necessarily in like the fantastical type of world, but you do want to bring out something that's on brand, so the style reference does give you that opportunity to bring something that's in your brand color palette in.
Exactly.
And the important thing is here, I'm sure you know this, but worthwhile mentioning it for everyone, is that it's commercially safe too. So what you create, you're able to use for business purposes, which is a very, very important part of it. And Susan, to address your question, which I'm really pleased you asked this one. Yeah, to be clear, Adobe Express is a product that's included in Creative Cloud as a separate product. The design or the ambition for Adobe Express is to be the best of Adobe, all of the creative tools for the masses. So designed to be super easy to use. So people like Jordan and me can use it and be creative without having to be pro designers. Hopefully that makes sense.
Should I resize this while we're here? Like I would just post this as a story, but just to show that the option is here. If you want to resize, I will set this as the page background. I think that will help it know to lock this to the background. We're going to find out. But the great thing about resize, especially if you're doing a campaign across multiple platforms, which I usually cheat it and just make everything a square and then reshare that way. But it's really nice to have this option, especially if you want to customize your post across a bunch of platforms. So we could do a Square, Pinterest. Let me see. We want LinkedIn. And you know what? We'll make it into a flyer and poster too, just to have it. Oh, I did have a second page here as a square already. But yeah, so that resized my project into all of these different sizes instantly. So now I have all of these different options. And this template was a 2-page template, and I still have my other pages here as well. So you can really build out your entire campaign in one place, which makes it really nice to have everything in one spot so that you have what you need and you're ready to post.
Talking of ready to post, should we share this one too? Because it's worthwhile showing a slightly different approach to sharing an Instagram story versus feed post, etc.
Yeah, let's do it. So you can, I could share this directly with Andy. I could share it back to my project, but I want to schedule this. And so I have my different options here. If you have watched any of our streams, you've seen us talk about the content scheduler because we love it. And I'm going to share it to, I don't know where my Instagram went, actually. That's super funny. I won't share it to Instagram story. I don't know where it's gone. But if I was logged in, which I'm not sure how I logged out, it would be here. I could sign in right here. Let me just see if I can reconnect really fast.
Yeah, should I take a moment to reconnect?
Yeah, let's see. I'm not sure. Sometimes my computer just logs me out of stuff. So I think I have just connected it. Now. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Cool. So again, if you ever get logged out, you can just reconnect, and that's nice and easy. And we have 3 options. So this can be a post, a reel, or a story. I want this to be a story. can preview what this will look like. So it's just kind of nice to see where all of the default text on the different platforms are. There's no caption because there's no caption in stories. And again, you can schedule it. I'm going to draft this. Actually, no, I'll just schedule it because this is a fun prompt. And I'll publish it now. Or
yeah, don't worry. I'll save as a draft for now.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
It's still uploading.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that is one way to share this. And it's really nice. You can do a public post, you can do a story, you can do a reel, and that's that.
Love it. And talking about exporting, this is a nice one to answer. Susan, you're asking very good questions today. So
keep them
bonus
coming,
points
please.
to you. Yes. So Susan asked, can you link the creative assets that you build in Express to a DAM? Yes, you can. You can bring it straight from Adobe Experience Manager. You'll actually see assets on the left-hand side of Jordan's screen if you squint a little bit on the left-hand side. So that's Adobe Experience Manager, which you'd expect that. Jordan and I don't actually have anything going on there, but that's how you can do that if you use Experience Manager or AEM. But also there's a whole bunch of add-ons. So if you click on add-ons for me just a sec.
Yeah.
And you'll likely find quite a lot of DAMs listed in there too. So you can both import and export your content to different places. So like, for example, I mean, there's simpler ones and more consumer level, but like Google Drive, Dropbox, that kind of stuff. And there's other DAMs too that I can't actually remember the names of. But go ahead, look in add-ons and you'll find a whole bunch. And if you can't find the one that you want, there's also a little button to request an add-on too, so the team can add it.
Yeah, and once you've saved yours, they'll all be in one place. You don't have to scroll through every time. The ones that you use often or that you install will be in your add-ons, so that's nice and easy to find.
Exactly. And Mohammed asked a question. He's like, that's what I want. I can share it to different platforms and schedule it. This is something I didn't know previously. I'm glad I'm here. We're glad you're here too, Mohammed. So yeah, absolutely. A huge part of Adobe Express is not just about creation, it's about distribution too. So cool. Right then, Jordan, let's do
one more.
Actually,
so that was
sorry to jump in again. Would you mind showing how you saved this as a template? Because here we're starting from a whole bunch of templates, but might be good for people to know how you actually save those templates, and it's pretty easy.
Yes. So I again started with templates that exist in Adobe Express because that's how I like designing, but you could always import a Photoshop or Illustrator file or build something from scratch. So this is a new template, and the way to save it to a project, which is great, is again going up to share, and above schedule, there's a save as a remixable template option. And so you have two different choices here. You can save it as a link. So if you want to just be able to share the link with whoever you want, share it with your team that you maybe didn't give access to the library, or share it, with friends if you make something fun. But you can also save it to a brand or a library, or add it to a brand or library, which is what I've done. So you can change the title here. The nice thing is you can also add notes. So if you're creating this for a team, you can say like, this is how to use it, or post it in this way, or like, this is, pull from different colors, whatever kind of notes you want to add. And then you can also add different restrictors here. So if you want it to only be able to, pull from these colors, these fonts, be able to add other media, or like only stick to what's already in the project. So you can really decide like how much control you want over the template. You can give creative freedom and it's just like an idea, or you can really lock down what the options are, which is, super nice to have that option.
Saving templates is probably, other than scheduling, it's like my most used feature, I think.
Yeah, I think it's so great. And I use it all the time because, for example, this is the type of thing, this is like an employee spotlight post. So this could be used to spotlight your team, your community. This could be changed up to be like, featured customers. And this is the kind of thing I used to post all the time. Like I ran a podcast for a while, so I would do like spotlights on the different guests that I had. And I, again, love saving this as a template because it makes my feed look great because there's consistency. And then I just have it in here all ready to use. And you can make it exactly what you want it, what you want for your particular brand. So again, like I could change the colors, I can change the fonts. Instead of employee spotlight, this can be maybe community spotlight. So you can change like what the post actually is depending on what you're doing. So like instead of your company here, I'll just change that. So really like you have the options of whatever you want. Let's do Jordan Dene. And there we go. Perfect. And that's a fun little trick. You can just like add spaces when you have these like arched text here to make that line up. And so again, we could do, whatever type of editing we want. I can change the background color to one of my fonts or one of my colors again. And this, in this case, this is kind of pieced together with a few different shapes. So we'd want to do that. We can also add like a texture if we want. We can add an image to the background. We have all types of options here. But I want to show one of my favorite features, which is you can replacing like an image or a video is a nice way to keep, like you don't have to relay it out. So I know that I want a photo here, but I actually want to replace it with a video. So instead of replacing it with another photo, I have this little video of me waving, which is a nice way to make this more dynamic as well. So again, depending on what you're looking for, it's really easy to swap this out with just another picture, and then you can make an entire series of different posts for either your whole team, your whole community. And to make it match, I want to remove the background on the video, which is a really great thing that Express can do super easily. I don't have to line anything up. This is just a video I took in my hallway. So there's nothing fancy here. And this adds a really nice element of like looking very cool and designed while still being as easy as, what we expect from Express. And so because it's a video, there's a timeline down here. You can press play. And that's so fun. Like it's cool. Like I like the original template as well. But it's just nice to add a little something extra. And then if you want to go really crazy, you can animate things as well. So clicking on anything, let's do, here we go. We can have this, you have animating in, looping animation, and animating out options. So clicking on the different categories at the top lets you, maybe I'll drift it in. And as you hover over, you can see, which is nice. Some get a little crazy, especially when they're text. So we'll do something calm, like drifting in. And there are a lot of different controls on all the different animations. You can control how long it is drifts in. You can choose the direction. Some of them even have like personalities, which is I don't know how else to say personality. It's like the energy, I guess, that the animation happens with. And you can do that for as many things as you want. So if I want the logo to be like maybe just kind of subtly moving over here, I can do a little loop animation that's like just a little wiggle. Am I missing anything else in this video editing?
I think probably the only thing to call out is if you press edit timeline, so we can control elements in it and maybe add some audio as well too, which can be fun.
Yeah, so we have all of these different stock audio options, which are also really great because they're all like pre-licensed, so you can use them on social. They're sorted by category. So if I want something, I'm actually not sure if I'm sharing my sound, but I'll just add Gentle Daydreams. Feels like a perfect clip for this. And then it's automatically added to the timeline at the length of the clip, which is my video's 3 seconds. I don't know if this will play, but we have audio now, we have the video, and you can also record a voiceover if you want. You can record a voiceover. So especially if I was doing some sort of intro post, I could record that. Or if I was doing, like a recap video and wanted to record my voice to go over it, we have that option too.
Love that. And yeah, also recently added is TikTok sounds, so the Symphony Assistant.
So there, yes, you can
yeah.
find it's in my add-ons, but you can just search TikTok if you want. And this also lets you choose sounds from the TikTok library and post directly to TikTok. So you can find trending TikTok music if you don't know what you're looking for. And this is a really nice like chat bot where you can ask it a ton of things like what's trending in general, what types of videos are trending, what types of clips are trending, what clip, what should my script be? And it's pulling from the TikTok algorithm. So it's pulling directly from the source of what's trending on the platform, which is a big deal. Yeah, and then you can schedule directly to TikTok, which is lovely.
Love it. Love it. Probably one other thing just to mention. Do you want to talk about sharing this with me? Maybe you can share this design with me because it looks really good. And I like the template.
To. And this is great too. Yeah, it's great too for things like in this particular template, like I had the video that I was looking for, but if I was creating like maybe an event recap and Andy had other photos or videos that I didn't have, instead of asking to send the assets back and forth, I could share the project with him and then he can add his own. So you have a couple different sharing options. I could, again, save it as a template and either add it to like our shared library, or I could get a link, send it to him, then he can create his own. I can also invite Andy to this. So I can let him just look at it and comment, like give me feedback, or let him edit, write a little message, feel free to use this for your team. And then Andy can live collaborate with me, which is great. Is there another share option as well? Oh, and I could also share like just a view only link. So if you just want to give someone approval or share a project, but you don't want them to be able to edit it at all, you have that option as well. Yeah, here's Andy. Editing away. So
this is why you should have locked your template down.
That's true. But this is genuinely great. Like Andy and I were working on a presentation for an upcoming workshop together, and the fact that we can live collaborate is super helpful, because instead of like sharing a screen and then making one of us like, add in notes or whatever, we can both work on it at the same time. And this is something we genuinely do a lot. So we'll hop on a call and then work on a project together. And that is great.
Probably the collaboration thing that you were thinking about that we hadn't touched on is commenting as well. So
yeah, and can also leave a comment. So I can check that out here and see a little note from Andy. And it could also be like if I wanted to pin, let's say, do we like this video? And you can also add people who are in the project. So yeah, it really gives you a lot of great options for working together across your team. And you can have as much or little control for everyone as you want, which is great.
And you nailed it. Right.
Cool. Do you have time to show your last thing?
I think we've got time to do the last thing. So we've done the strategy. We've also worked from templates to speed up social content creation, but now we're going to talk about how do we scale it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start sharing. And
we're not sure if we had time to show 3 things, so
I think we'll give it a go. You can keep me on. You can keep me honest. Right. So use case here is a quote post, very simple evergreen content that we could put out. It's not game changing, but everyone likes a very easily memeable quote on social. So this is what we're going to do. So here, what we're going to use is these add-ons. We referenced them earlier, but the particular add-on that we want here is bulk create and generate. Brand new, and it allows you to create multiple different variations of a project with a couple of prompts. You can use AI, and also the way it works is from like uploading a CSV file. I'll explain it real quick. So here we're going to create some designs in bulk, so that's fine. Let's get started. So I'm going to click the background image. I'm going to say this is the background image, so that's fine. That's the one we want to change. We want to replace the text here. So we just want the background image to change, and we just want this text to change. That's all. So I'm going to label the text. As I've selected it, it knows which one, and just going to press link. So there we go.
It really is. I am not a huge spreadsheet person, and it really is simple to use, which is great. Like, it tells you exactly what you want to click.
So what happens, yeah, you're exactly right, Jordan. So what happens, it then gives you a CSV template that you can easily populate. And then just go ahead and upload it. So
this is great too. Like, sorry, while you're doing that,
the
version that Andy is showing is like a quote. So you could either use it if you have quotes, like, you know, folks do the kind of like Twitter post, which is what you have here. You can also use it for client testimonials or reviews, like podcast reviews or product reviews. So anything that you want to use the same template and just change out the text. You could do some sort of like product feature, you know, something like that. So there are lots of different ways that you could use this like bulk generate in a cool way.
Oh, I honestly, I was going to give a great demo. It'd be very exciting, but actually I've forgotten where I put my CSV template, so I'm not going to create one in front of your eyes. But
that's true.
Yeah, you get the idea. And we'll probably finish time anyway. But there you go. Worst demo of all time. But
that's okay. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to go back to the presentation? I think we have a last.
Yeah, let's do.
I think we have a final slide. But yeah, this is something that Andy and I use all the time. We have been using this kind of like core idea, and then shifting it throughout. Like, you can adjust it as social platforms change. Like, the core parts of this plan don't change. So as like platforms, what's the word I want? As like algorithms shift and like strategies change, you can keep the core idea of what you're creating, which is great. So I don't know if you have anything else to add as far as like how to use the strategy and use it in Express.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, not really. It's honestly, once you've started to create based on these pillars, and then you've started to build around these templates too, and even better if you work with a team, because you know it's so easy that if we've got like a share your story type of post, which Jordan's created, it's so easy just to go ahead and look at the things that have been shared with me, the things that let's have a look at the stuff that's been shared with me. Look at the things that have just been shared with me, like this, add these to this post to one of my upcoming social campaigns, upload that in, choose our multiple channels that we want to post to, and it's just so incredibly easy when you know exactly what you've got to do. You've got a clear structure in place. You've then saved those templates around those pillars and themes, and again, like, that doesn't stop you from doing things ad hoc when a moment happens. You're at an event, you've still got all the good in the moment stuff to get done on social. It doesn't stop you doing that, and it doesn't take away the importance of that. But from like a core content strategy, how do we tell that story consistently over time? This really helps like build that really strong strategy for that. And there we go. Here we are creating this post, this one that Jordan's created. We can
actually, will you show the caption generator, because the story that I didn't have that. But if you're posting to any of the please see if you're doing anything except exactly what I just did. So if you're posting anywhere except for a story which doesn't have a caption, There is a relatively new caption generator built into Express, which you could probably speak to this better than me, Andy, but it's specifically trained to be like optimized for social. And it also is optimized for the platforms that you've chosen based on like what's the word?
What
Like
channels you
the
selected?
character
Yeah.
limit. Yeah, based on the chosen channels.
Exactly. So here we are, celebrating my wonderful new colleague here. Going to generate a new caption. I mean, I haven't really given it much of a prompt. There you go. So this is what we've got. So this is pretty good, actually. Quite like that. I'm going to press insert. There we go. We've just replaced that. But the thing that I think I find myself using more than the kind of generate from scratch is when I've selected a selection of the text and I think, you know what, I need it to sound more like me. I'm going to just go ahead and refine just that little bit and go, actually, I prefer that part. So it's a great way of like just editing your own content. If you don't just want to come up with a caption from scratch, you can just use that to refine your writing. And if it's a case of me, correct all your typos too. So there we go. We've got a bunch of hashtags added into this too. So that all looks good. We can have some first comment for Instagram too, if we want to add some extra hashtags as well. I could also mention at Jordan Danae Ellis here. Preview the post, see exactly how it's going to look on Facebook and on Insta. We can play it through. There we go. All looking pretty good. I think that actually looks quite effective in the feed, to be
I
honest,
know
Jordan.
I might like make that,
Quite like that.
put my actual name and fill
Yeah,
in the gaps, but I like
I think it's
that.
good.
And that's something I've been playing with a lot in Express is like replacing static photos with video because that just adds like it adds a little extra something special and that's I think one of Adobe Express's sweet spots is adding video and adding animation to static posts. It's really great for that. And I think the best platform I know of to do that with. So that's exciting.
Yeah, totally with you. And as we've already selected the day of where we want that kind of bond content to happen, we can also choose the time. Social content works better in the morning. 8:30 to 9 is typically peak time for Insta. So make sure I'm going to time it correctly, hit schedule, and we're good
Oh,
as
you're
gold.
bold. You didn't even draft it.
I know I'm going to have to delete that in a second because
That's gonna
there's
get posted.
it's gonna get posted. So there we go. We've got this scheduled to happen next week. So and then we just know where we've got other gaps in our content plan, what we need to fill in. So with that, we really can like collapse content creation into the matter of like sit down for an hour and you can have a week's worth of content done without breaking a sweat. And that's where we want to get to. And it's not just content for the sake of it, it's good quality content that's aligned around a strategy too, which is the important thing. Because it's easy to scale up and use AI to create loads of stuff, but we need to create something that actually is meaningful, that feels like us, that's built around a target audience too. That is most importantly about our audience, not us. So that's probably
Yeah, making things that make sense.
exactly. I'm going to delete these before I forget about
Well,
those.
while you
But
do that, we can sign off for the day. Thank you all so much for joining us. As Andy was showing, when you demo things and draft them, sometimes they get posted. So if you follow us, you may find things happens all the time. Things that don't make sense because they're from a demo post, which is great. But yeah, if you're interested in more like online marketing strategy, how to use Express to make it really quick and easy, especially if you maybe don't have a design background or if you do and just want a tool that helps you do some of these things even faster. That's what we love talking about. So you can check out our other videos and stay tuned for upcoming streams. So I think that's it for me. Thanks so much for joining us. Anything else, Andy?
nope, all good. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Have a good week.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.